2025 threw a bit of a curveball at me when I found out on January 2nd that the position I've been working for the past 5 years was being terminated by my company. I wish I could say I was surprised, but in hindsight, it became clear that this was something they were planning for quite some time. This job wasn't something that I was overly passionate about, but it was easy and it paid the bills. Needless to say, I was definitely in my comfort zone. My birthday is January 3rd, a day after receiving this news. Entering my 32nd year, soon to be unemployed, was not on my bingo card for 2025. Typically, I'm a glass half empty kind of girl, but I decided to look at this as a glass half full moment. This wasn't the type of job I could grow in, nor did I want to grow within this company. I looked at it as my safety net as I pursued my own creative passions. I've been posting on YouTube for 8 years now, but never consistently. Creating sewing content takes a lot of time and energy. It was easy for me to put my project on hold when life would get in the way. I was given 3 weeks of working notice. It was nice to be able to have some time to process this information. This was the longest job I've ever had. I wanted to look at my newfound unemployment as an opportunity. I was given the gift of time. Although I know I will have to get back into the job market eventually, I wanted to take some time for myself. I always have endless projects to work on and so many things on my to-do list, and I figured this was my chance to get a head start. I even decided to stop smoking weed during this time, and as someone who has been a self-proclaimed stoner for the last decade, it was a big adjustment for me. Even though I have the ability to be productive when smoking, I just didn't want to look back at this time and wonder if I could have gotten more done if I wasn't. January 28th was my first day of unemployment, and I did not waste any time. The job I left was with Lululemon as one of their in-house hemmers. They terminated us to outsource our services, which meant they didn't need any of the equipment or supplies our department had acquired. So between me and my coworkers, we got to divide everything up and take it as a parting gift. In this process, I was able to take home 2 very expensive sewing machines and enough thread to last me a lifetime. Acquiring all this meant I had some serious reorganizing to do. I am fortunate enough to have a whole room dedicated to my sewing craft, but I had to be strategic with my space since I also use it to film sewing tutorials. So for sewing machines, I got to take home this industrial cover stitch machine as well as this Brother embroidery machine. My dad is making me a new table that can support the weight of the embroidery machine, and I am also going to fix up this wall. But in the meantime, I need to organize all of these threads. I kind of have to stash them wherever I have the space, and I was able to utilize these drawers in my hallway closet for some. I'm also taking this opportunity to go through every single thing in this room, so everything will get a lot worse before it gets better. This was a real trust the process project, and it always amazes me how much stuff you accumulate when you have hobbies, especially sewing. So many sewing supplies from previous projects, buttons, zippers, zipper sliders, more threads, pins, needles, cutting tools, rulers. It feels kind of endless at this stage. This took me days. I even went through all of my muslin and ironed everything so I could store it more easily. After I completed organizing my desk, I moved on to setting up the cover stitch machine by removing the bubble wrap and rethreading it. Since I'll be placing it along this wall, I had to remove the clothing rack to make space, and I'm going to use this corner to store all of my lighting equipment and tripods. Moving on to my closet, I have this cart from IKEA which I keep my printer on, and below is where I'm storing all of my art supplies. The other half of my closet is where I have my shipping supplies that I use for Poshmark orders at the top, and below is where I keep my fabric and patterns. I'm hoping to clear this rack enough to move all of the items from my clothing rack into here. Unfortunately, to be able to access the left drawers of my fabric organizer, I have to pull this whole thing out, which isn't ideal, but it's something I've grown used to. I was somehow able to downsize everything enough to fit. Now I can move on to this side of the room. I need to clear everything out of the way, and I'm going to be getting rid of this current desk. Once everything has been cleared, I started working on the wall. You can see the old paint color of the wall just below this shelf, and I've always wanted to add more yellow. I also got this ironing board from work, and I'd like it mounted to keep it out of the way, but also on display. Eventually, I'm going to change the cover of the ironing board to be red. I made this wavy shelf last year with my dad, and I wanted the wall to have a matching wavy yellow blob. I used a sponge brush to outline what I drew in pencil. I found this to be the easiest way to get a nice, crisp line. Then I went in with a paintbrush and filled in my shape. It took several coats to get the coverage I wanted, and I left it overnight to dry. This room looks just as chaotic as it did when I started, but my painting is done and I absolutely love the way the wall turned out. I styled the shelf for now with this sea plant that is toxic to cats, so I have to keep it out of the way, and I added some of my notebooks and some matching vases. I always tell myself I'm gonna film things and then I forget. I got my table delivered. I'm gonna show it to you in a second, but I didn't want to talk with it in the background because the light is over here and it would just be like too dark. I'm so excited. My sewing room is slowly coming together and I am this close to being done. Today, I'm going to put away all of this stuff you see in the background. I was waiting for this table that my father so amazingly made for me. I love it. I am so excited to finally utilize and use this space to its fullest potential. Please hang out with me as I clean and organize and put all my supplies away. So the vision I had for this desk was I needed it to be strong enough to withstand not only the embroidery machine itself, but also the vibrations when it's running. So my dad made this table out of metal and stainless steel. He also included a red chest of drawers that he had to modify a bit to fit the height I needed. He welded the pieces together and added plywood under the stainless steel countertop so we could fasten it all together. He also painted it blue so I could maximize my primary color scheme. And then we covered the tabletop in contact paper. Otherwise, it looked like something you'd put a body on in a morgue. I wanted this table paired with the table my cover stitch machine is on to act like an L-shaped desk. This whole box had all the supplies that came with the embroidery machine, and I'm going to organize it into these drawers. First, I had to remove all of the stickers, and I won't lie, the one at the bottom literally took me over an hour to remove. I was lucky enough that this old nightstand I have fit perfectly underneath for more storage, and so did this other set of drawers I have, so I really got to maximize my space. It hurts my soul that this chair is a slightly different shade of red, but we'll just pretend it's not. I used the bottom drawer to stash the last of my thread and the remaining drawers for embroidery supplies. Finally, I got to throw out the last of the boxes and put away the remaining supplies. And I cannot believe I am saying this, but this room is finally done. This took about a month to complete since we had some weather issues that pushed back the delivery date of the new table. But I am so happy with this space and I can't wait to see what I create in it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to see where this journey takes me.